Yo. What's going on, people? You are tuned in to the Urban Conservative. My name is Chaz Neal. Um, whew, I would say Merry Christmas, but I don't celebrate this whack ass holiday because it's all about capitalism. It's all about motherfuckers just ain't grateful. So I don't
It's
celebrate.
happy holidays, brother. Say happy
Yeah,
holidays.
fuck all that.
Yeah.
I ain't happy either. But yeah, happy holidays, people.
Right.
Um, what I wanted to talk about today is what does racism look like? What does systemic racism look like? And I, I got a couple of stories that I wanted to talk about because I felt like they interplay so much with what we talk so much about unity, and we talk so much about what the community uh, wants, what the community needs, but does it come from the right people? Um, and so I'm going to play this video. It's probably about 10 minutes long. I'm going to break it down, but it's the Hennepin County Attorney, Mike Freeman, uh, who was the county attorney for over 20 years uh, and even ran for governor. I didn't even know that, but um, and Lure Goose, who is a investigative reporter with Care 11. Love the guy, does a lot of good investigative work. Um, so I really want people to pay attention because there's a lot that is said in this interview that I think people really didn't pay attention to. So uh, we're gonna start off. It's a 23-minute, uh, but I've got it at certain parts. So we're gonna start with the Jamar Clark case.
So I was there for the announcement for the Jamar Clark case and the presentation, and that was after you had announced that I'm not going to have the grand jury do this. I'm going to make this decision, and you gave a presentation of why you made the decision. Were you caught off guard that the reaction was what it was among people that disagreed with it?
I was surprised. Off guard is a different. I was surprised. I thought that I knew there were strong feelings. I thought when the explanation that we gave, which was extensive, the questions I answered, the fact that we put a detailed report up on our website, people look at it, it's like it didn't matter. People were not as interested in what the real facts were. They were interested in what their perceptions were. And there's, police department still has a lot of work to do in terms of being transparent. But I decided that the county attorney.
I want to stop there for a minute because he said something important there that the police department needs to be more transparent.
Mhm.
Now, as this goes along, you're going to see I had a lot of issues with the way that he went on because it felt like it was more of a blame game and politics than to get real transparency and accountability. Because you're talking about a man that is the county attorney, and then he goes on to say other titles in this too. So,
attorney ought to make that decision and not a grand jury, because we are transparent and we are accountable. And my accountability was people in the streets outside my house yelling at me. I'm not certain I made better decisions the days after I got no sleep, but that's what they did, and I feel bad about that. It's not it's a phenomenon special to Minnesota. It's happened all over the country. The DA in Sacramento had happened to it. The DA in Boston had happened to. It's kind of the period of the times, and some of the review and insistence on better police practices is appropriate.
The rise of the police accountability and social justice movement kind of coincided with crime in general at that time being at a pretty low spot.
Yes.
So were you surprised that it got the amount of focus that it did among the community? I mean, it still gets it now, but now the crime rates have risen again, so the crime is getting a focus as well.
I was surprised that I'd spent my career going to community meetings and consulting with people and having task force and listening to folks. I was surprised at the level of demonstration and communication and the virulent nature of it. I wasn't surprised that there would be strong disappointment. And I felt that we were being so transparent in providing all this information that people would stop and look at it. And I'm afraid a lot of people didn't. Looking back afterwards, I wish I had done more community work. My problem was when I went out to do something, I'd get shouted off the stage, which isn't really necessarily part of what we do to understand each other. We're supposed to listen and have discussions. And I had a lot of good discussions, but they had to be in private. And a lot of people we just weren't willing to listen. And that's really how things have changed. Now, let me just correct something that you said. I'm very encouraged with the work of Operation Endeavor, which is Commissioner of Public Safety Alexander's concept and idea. We've embedded a prosecutor there. I'm very encouraged with Minnesota HEALS 2.0, which I put together, which included not only cops and prosecutors and judges, but the faith community and the business community. And those two efforts combined, that crime in Minneapolis now is down. Carjackings are down 67%. Shots fired are down over 30%.
Bullshit.
Homicides are down.
Okay.
So it's like the crime wave has hit its peak and is coming down, which to me is very encouraging. And again, this isn't unique to Minnesota. It's happening everywhere in the country. And when I talk to my sister and brother prosecutors from all over the country, and I had the privilege to be the president of the National District Attorneys Association, all of us are facing much of the same. Nobody got quite the pushback we did with the tragic death of George Floyd, but perhaps Minneapolis had it coming. And that also kind of—
that's a big fucking statement.
Everyone else. But
as somebody that's our district attorney, and for him to come out and say that Minneapolis maybe deserved that, that's some big words.
That's beyond fucked up. I'm sorry, but it is.
But I mean, it really puts me in the context of like, what the fuck did he mean by that? What does he mean, Minneapolis?
Right.
Maybe deserve that, or you know what I'm saying? Because what is he not? Because I know that during this interview that he comes out and blatant, he says it that Minneapolis PD lies a lot, so to protect themselves. And I think that's a lot of the and that's what bugs me with this next story that gets into this. Is like the next, but yeah, let's get into this.
I think we've turned the corner. We've got a lot of work to do yet, but I'm pleased that we've done that with some creative new ideas.
Your office did obtain the first criminal conviction for a homicide on duty by an officer in the Muhammad Noor case. Was that—
Yes, sir.
Was that something you were proud of?
The best we can tell for at least the last 40 years, that's the first homicide conviction. Now, I've convicted other cops of sexual misconduct, of theft, of assault, and other things. But this is the first cop who used deadly force in a criminal manner and was found guilty. And that was a major breakthrough. Along with Attorney General Ellison, we put together a joint team that convicted Derek Chauvin appropriately and the other three officers. So we got justice across the board, but it took a while. And there's not a whole lot of patience out there by some folks about how long justice takes if it's going to be done right.
More broadly now, what are your proudest accomplishments as county attorney?
The biggest one is the quality of the staff that we've hired, we've trained, we've mentored, we've given responsibility, they've grown. In the last 10 years, members of the Hennepin County Attorney, 17 members of the Hennepin County Attorney's Office have been named judges. 17. And of that 17, 10 have been judges of color. So we've gone, when I arrived here in 1991, we had 3 or 4 lawyers of color. Today we have 30% of our lawyers. We worked real hard at that. And I'm really proud. Our numbers would be better, but for the fact that these governors keep appointing our best folks to be judges.
Mm-hmm.
But, it makes you very proud to see Justice McCaig, the first Native woman on the Supreme Court in the state, in not only the state of Minnesota, but in the country. And Juanita Freeman being the first Black woman judge in Washington County. And again and again and again, you look at the number of judges of color. So our bench is beginning to respond and reflect the society, just like this county attorney's office has done. That's not by accident.
Mm-hmm.
We've worked real hard. I'm really proud of that. I guess the other thing is kind of disproving a negative. We haven't had a scandal here. We haven't had a situation where a county attorney was accepting money. We've tried cases that we've learned subsequently the evidence wasn't there. We've had cases when the police didn't tell us the full story and we had to back off it. Those kind of mistakes were made. But this is a just and honorable office,
here.
And we've worked hard at that. And I'm proud of that record because that's hard to do and hard to maintain.
Do you have a quote unquote one that got away?
Oh, we've never had enough to charge the killers of some of these kids. If something got away, that, the case when the kid was shot in the backseat of Dad's car and Dad was shooting the other people with a gun. Never. The kid trampoline, I'm a father of 5. My kids are doggone important to me. I can't imagine going through life without them. And to lose these kids and never have any justice. We worked really hard in those cases. And, we've had some, like the Westrom case recently, a cold hit rape and murder case that was 25 years old and was picked up from DNA that came from the napkin of somebody eating a hot dog at a hockey game. Mm-hmm. That shows what we could do in technology. Mm-hmm. So we've had some big successes like that, but the ones that still haunt me are some of the rape cases and particularly the homicides of kids.
Where do you see the future of this office? Obviously Mary Moriarty was elected and some people think it will go in people don't really know what direction it's going to go in, I guess. Where do you see the future of this office? Could you tell your staff when they ask you?
As I said to Mary, and it's pretty well known, the other candidate, former Judge Martha Holton Dimmick, was my candidate, one I supported. She lost, Mary won. And in this country, I believe in elections, and they're decided, and the person who wins is going to be the office holder. And so I called Mary at 10 o'clock on Tuesday night to congratulate her and say we'd work hard on a successful transition. And we worked hard at doing that. There are people who say, well, Mary has said this or Mary has said that. Well, I know I became a more responsible person when I was elected, when I learned about the job and what it had to do. And I've seen folks, as all of us have, people who've been appointed judges, and you say, what is this? How is this person going to be a just person? This person says this or does that. People grow into the offices that they hold. And I expect no less of Mary. I think people expected no less than me. Expected of Tom Johnson when he was elected. They expected of Amy Klobuchar when she was elected. And I think we were all much more responsible people when we were here and found out what the people required. So I have every reason, every faith that this office will continue to seek justice and do the right things. There will be some policy changes. That's what an elected county attorney gets to do. But this is a big, huge battleship. You don't turn it around or make it move in profound ways easily or quickly. And frankly, this office, like everywhere else, can use some change and some new, fresh breath. 24 years is long enough. I've been pleased to be here that long, but it was time to go. And I'm prepared on January 3rd to go down to the ground level. I've rented a pumpkin to climb into, going to go off into the sunset of my pumpkin.
Well, what are your plans in retirement?
The first plan is not to make any significant decisions for at least 9 months. I'll start thinking about what I want to do next after Labor Day 2023. For 50 years, I've gotten up in the morning, put a tie on, and gone to the law office. It's time to do something different. So I don't anticipate doing a law job, but there's a lot of interesting things out there, but I'm going to take my time and figure it out.
Interesting. Interesting. You
So
know,
what's your thoughts, brother? What's your thoughts?
I have a ton. You know, I don't think that when it came to Mr. Freeman, that he ever wanted to do the right thing. And it really makes me wonder what cases he's talking about, because not going into detail, but some of those situations sound very familiar to me. And they haven't got justice. Those situations haven't got justice yet. So it makes me wonder, are those the type of things that yeah, I'm going to talk about the but it makes me really do wonder about transparency, accountability, and who really be in the wrong. You know, we say we don't want bad police officers. Why do we allow bad community members?
Wow, that's powerful.
That's where I go with it. You know what I'm saying? Because like this man literally just stated, there's cases that haunt him because there was evidence, but they couldn't get a conviction. Or, you know, I just seen stuff with even the Mall of America shooting that there was witnesses that didn't want to cooperate.
Right. Yeah, I saw that too.
You know, and it's like, that's not snitching. Y'all niggas, you know, you're not a part of it. So I don't know why people feel like they're a snitch.
It's a culture thing. People it's been made into a culture.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? It's the perk and lean culture.
Talk about it.
That's why you just had one of these rappers just died. 22 years old off of the fake perks. Fentanyl. Shit ain't no joke out here, man. And this shit is deep, and there ain't no solutions. None. We were just talking about that in the chat this morning. No solutions. None. These people don't have any. And this is what I want to get into next is this. Share screen. I should have kind of set it up first. So, wait, this might not be the exact one though. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, so if you see here is the teachers union slammed for objecting to plan to recruit police from community. Now, what's wrong with that? And now,
this story blew my mind. I had to reread
it. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I had to reread it and then think carefully about what was being said in this article, just so I could make sure I understood it right. And there's a lot to discuss here, so I'm really curious to see what you have to say, where your thoughts are on it, and then I'll say my piece. But I just want people to be very aware of what's being discussed in this article, because especially if you have kids and you're anywhere in America, this applies to everyone in America. because this is something that's going on in every district. So just pay attention,
Right.
y'all.
So I'm gonna read it. It's the police union. I mean, the Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis has issued a stinging rebuke of the city's woke teachers union following its decision to criticize an internship program that would bring more diversity to local law enforcement's workforce. At issue is the newly created Peace Recruitment Plan, which was approved by the Minneapolis City Council earlier this month. The $740,000 one-time award will cover paid internships for high school students from different upbringings who are interested in a career in law enforcement. The measure was included in Democratic, I don't know why they have to say that, Mayor Jacob Frey's 2023 budget. Because here's the thing, people, I agree with this program. Um, and I'm going to say why I agree with it, because how are we supposed to change the culture inside of something if we're not a part of it? Because I know that there is youth that would love to become police officers but don't have that opportunity to do that.
Right. See, I agree with you and disagree. Like, I mean, I don't
Right.
disagree at all. I will say that I agree with you. And to add, I would say we need other actions along with that simultaneously to change how we perceive these officers and the culture that goes along with it. But I definitely agree with you. I see where you're coming from. For real.
Because it's like, if you're like, we don't want our kids to be afraid of police anymore, right? So why not? And here's the thing of it is, because there's some people that I really highly I can't say dislike, but I disagree with them in a lot of ways of the community. But when it comes to programs like this, I really do believe and stand behind programs like this if it's done correctly, if it's done right. Because we do need to see more black and brown in policing in our communities, because I do feel like it would be different. Especially when it came to Mike Freeman, he said that when he got shuttered off stage so much, or I think that would be different if it was somebody that was actually from the community, and it would be somebody that, you see him at the grocery store, or you see him at the neighborhood watering hole, or whatever you want to call it, a little dinner spot. Somebody that's just a part of the community that don't let that seat get to them. Don't, because I think if you're for the people and you want change, nothing else really matters. You're still going to go to Taco Bell and get the dollar menu. You're not going to go all of a sudden go eat steak and shrimp because you make $100,000 now. That's not what that's there for. So I've always wanted to be the type of person that I don't ever want to change. Money's never going to change me. I could be making $500,000 a year, and I still want to live over North Minneapolis, because that's where I'm needed. That's where, people say that we should be proud to get away, but don't be proud to get away and forget where you came from, because that's what everybody's doing. There's nice houses in North Minneapolis, but because you want to feel like you became something and move away, but you can't. Don't forget about where you came from, because there is enough millionaires that came from North Minneapolis that could fix North Minneapolis. We had Prince, Terry Lewis. Man, Janet Jackson been over north in the recording studio.
Wow, I had no clue about any of that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Roger Nelson, Prince, yeah, North Minneapolis.
I had no clue.
Yeah, man, like we have people that are Baby Bash, he from St. Paul. But it's just, to me, I really disagree with the teachers union, and I'm going to get into more of that. Why? Because they just a trip. Hold Hold on. I gotta go back to do this. They ain't good at this part, but we're gonna get better. So,
Bro, you got it.
oh yeah, I know. So it says the Minneapolis Teacher Federation of Teachers teacher chapter voted to publicly denounce the city's new initiative titled the Peace Recruitment Plan to recruit our youth to intern with the Minneapolis Police Department. See, I don't see nothing wrong with that. And I hate that they want to use George Floyd, Winston Smith, and Jamar Clark in the communities in which we serve, because we want people who are from our community to serve in our communities. And that's the problem, because so I gotta stop sharing, go back, because I want y'all to see this, because I'm gonna name off some people that are on the teachers elected leaders, and people should know who they are. So Marshall Howard, everybody knows who Marshall Howard is.
Right.
Everybody knows who Marshall Howard is. 38th in Chicago.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And then you got Loretta Van Pelt, who I don't know if you can see the name on there, but yeah, right here. Justice for Jamar Clark. She's part of CPAC. Uh, not saying, and I agree with CPAC. Not saying that I don't, but CPAC is also kind of a form of getting rid of police. You know what I'm saying? It's just different programming for it, and having less armed officers, which I don't think we need that right now, but it'd be great work getting work towards that. But until that happens, and then everybody knows this, they call her the Great White Hype, or whatever it is, the Great White Hope, Greta. So, but a lot of these people are so-called activists for like all of Minneapolis, which is a abolitionist group, or yeah, it just people should already know that the teachers were going to come out against it. I mean, they're in a lawsuit right now because of LIFO, last in, first out, which a lot of people don't understand, is because this is why there isn't a lot of minority teachers.
So let me ask why you're against the union being about them.
Because this has nothing to do with them. They're supposed their job is supposed to protect and educate our kids. And this is the problem for me, is that everything turns into politics. School shouldn't be about politics. Safety shouldn't be about politics.
Bro, everything's politics.
I know, but I understand what you're saying. And
school is politics, though. I mean, when you're talking about bipartisan, like Democrat, Republican, yeah, that shit has no place in school. But like, my thing is, if we're to have, and this goes with the police too, if we're to have more people of color that are officers and teachers, we do have to start with the culture, because we start trying to hire these people, no one's going to apply. And that it happens all the time. They give all kinds of incentives for people of color to apply. Not many do at all, because of the culture.
I'll put it like,
we've also got to change the culture along with it.
It's even, you know, to me, it's more than just the culture, because it's these people are, and this is why I say this, right? Mm-hmm. Because if they don't want that, they've had plenty of opportunities to change the culture within the Minneapolis public schools, because instead of them coming out and saying, they're not even trying to change the people that graduate don't even have an 8th grade reading level. Most of them don't, but they want to come out here talking about internships with the police when our kids ain't even going to go to college.
Listen, not the police, but going back to the teachers, because if these kids on average have an 8th grade level reading level, and 60% of Minneapolis students are people of color, and only less than 30, I think it was like less than 20% are teachers. I think it was like 3% of teachers are teachers of color, but 60% are kids of color. How are we going to fill those gaps?
Because there's a
But the
reason
thing that,
for that. You gotta.
but listen,
There's
the thing that they're
reasons for that.
suggesting, what they're suggesting is that if there's too many white teachers, right, and you've got chopping blocks, they're going to look at the people of color and keep them versus the old seniors that are already
Yeah,
on their
it's
way
called
out.
last in, first out.
Right. I support that.
Right.
But what they're saying
I
is
don't really,
they're saying is that there's a bunch of conservatives that are against that.
because it's the way that it's worded. I'm against it too because of the way that it's worded. Because there's some bad black teachers.
Right.
You know what I'm
However,
saying?
I would rather have a bad black teacher.
I
For me
understand.
personally,
No,
this
see, I
is
wouldn't.
me personally,
Bad is bad.
I would rather have a bad black teacher than have a bad white teacher or any kind of white teacher at all. I never had any kind of teacher of color. I always had white teachers. I don't know what that's like. And I would wish and rather have the experience to have a black teacher at all, whether they were bad or not, than to never know that experience at all.
No, and I get what you're saying. I
get what you're saying too.
But to me, it's all the wording, because I don't even know how the hell to fix anything anymore, because people they always want to break it down into a race issue when you really look at it, it's deeper than just race half the time. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, the system's fucked up. Black people definitely ain't getting nowhere advancement anywhere because ain't shit written for us. We're not even black anymore. Motherfuckers don't even see me as African American. They see us as BIPOC now. You know what I'm saying? So they just bunch us up to a whole bunch of shit. If I'm just going to be one with it, because that's all you see in this legislation. So even when it comes to these teachers and all of that, everybody wants to fight about this, and that, right? But at the end of the day, who's being left behind still by us adults are supposed to be thinking about the kids, but we're actually leaving them behind because we can't even agree when it comes down to what's best for our kids, because motherfuckers want to go straight to politics instead of just getting what's right for the kids in education so that they can read, that they can do math, simple division, simple multiplying.
I will say this based off of my assessment, and this is looking at both parties and looking at their interpretation of this, right? So when it comes to Republicans, or what they put in this article is conservatives, but they're just looking at this from a standpoint of affirmative action and saying that it's not fair. Affirmative action has no place with teachers and unions, and get rid of the unions. Because
you know what's crazy? How they can totally fake.
But listen, Democrats as well.
No, and I get that. I don't even care about
Democrats as well are stating, in the argument that I made. However, they're not making the proper changes. They're sitting there fighting with conservatives or Republicans. They're just fighting with each other instead of actually, and don't get me wrong, both points are valid on both sides. However, what is actually effectively getting done to help our children?
Hell no, because you know what's crazy? Instead of them doing the whole race thing, right? Because if they went by, they already have a tier system. But if that tier system you were graded on, instead of it just went because of seniority, and instead went on the way that your work habits, and what I mean by your work habits is the success of your students. Now,
okay, so there you go. Think about it. Statistically, if you're a black teacher and you have a predominantly black class, and statistically black kids do worse, and that is not your fault. If anything, people of color teachers have more challenges than white teachers. Not to mention, because of the income that they have is less than the white teachers. White teachers with more seniority obviously make more. Younger teachers coming in don't have much at all. So therefore, their jobs are
we don't want to give credit, because here's the thing of it is,
we're at a lost period, and it's not you're right. It's not a partisan issue. It's not even, it shouldn't be a political issue. It's the fact of humanity, and education is human right. We all deserve to see ourselves in our leaders and in our peers. And like I said, for me, I didn't have a black teacher at all. And I can't imagine. I would like to see these kids have as many teachers that are of color as possible, as humanly possible, even if that means that one white teacher is not going to get that job. Well, guess what? Statistically, you don't represent all of the people in this district. They need to be represented with someone that they can associate
That
with.
ain't never, you know what's crazy, man? That ain't never gonna happen. That ain't never gonna happen. That ain't never gonna happen. And I'm gonna, because until we can sit here and separate as people, and I'm talking about Black people, and focus on our community,
right,
as a whole. But they don't give us the opportunity because you have way too many people with their hands in the cookie jar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's keep it real. You have,
agreed.
I see all of these people, like right now with even the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion shit, right?
Right.
Why the fuck are activists even talking about that?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I could give a flying fuck.
Like,
I saw somebody today post justice for Meg Thee Stallion. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So now we're making a mockery out of the stolen lives. This bitch she's a millionaire. I don't give a fuck what happens to her or if he doesn't go to prison or not. These are celebrities and they will be perfectly all right. But we're not. What about these kids? What about those kids that supposedly are snitching? And the culture that comes with that. These kids coming, like you said, with an 8th grade education, coming into malls, shooting shit up. Why are we not making that the point of our conversation? That just pissed me off. Wow.
Yeah, it'd be a trip.
But you're an activist.
It'd be a trip. It'd be a trip. It'd definitely be a trip. It'd be a trip. That's all I can say.
I'm done, yo. We got to do better, y'all.
We definitely do. We definitely got to do better. Some way, somehow. Because
But not for real. I definitely get where you're coming from. When it comes to this debate, when it comes to schools, I think that's the one thing that people take to heart is that one thing that's a point of, for parents at least, that brings out the passion in them is talking about their kids. And whether you're poor or rich, Black or white, hopefully you go hard for your kids. Hopefully.
Right.
So my thought. Say that again.
I said I would hope people would too.
I don't know that when you sent me that article and I was reading it, that like definitely it really stuck with me. Like I said, I had to read it a couple times just to make sure, like, hold up, what are these people supporting and what are these people against? And I get all the sides. Just with me, I can't help but hope for more for our people.
Right.
And for me, I've always supported affirmative action. But in this case specifically, I can't help but see myself in that little kid that never had a Black teacher and always wanted one, you know?
Right. No, we'll go back to school.
Yo, I'm in school every day, bro.
See, you got a Black teacher here?
You're my Black teacher, bro. How about that?
I ain't even got no teacher degree.
Yeah, you do. You got the streets.
Yeah.
You got the school of life.
The school of hard knocks.
That's right.
Oh,
to me, that is the best school ever. That is the best way to learn, my brother.
We're gonna take a quick break real quick. I'm gonna you know what? This looks good.
Ivy.
Yo. So, I want to give a shout out to my girl Meg Keller. She really been doing her thing. She had a interview yesterday with Eric Holmes' mother.
Real. Did you catch that, bro?
Yes, I did catch it. Trying to help her do some things too as well. Hopefully, I'll be able to help as much as that I can what she's asked for. So, always working.
That's right.
So hopefully we can finally get some justice, some accountability.
For real. Yo, speaking of Kelvian and Eric Holmes, of course, you already know it's justice for Eric Holmes, but make sure you call the Clayton County Police Department at 780-477-3747 and demand that they release these tapes ASAP.
ASAP, shut up and help. So I'm glad we could come on here today. I would say Merry Christmas, but I don't like Christmas, and it ain't no happy holiday. But so I just want everybody to have peace, transparency, whatever. That's not the word. Peace, tranquility. I just want everybody to be suwa, usa today, and rejoice. Think about the things that you're grateful for, things that you appreciate. Because tomorrow's not promised, man. So love on your loved ones today. So win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well.